If you had invested $10,000 in Tesla on the day it went public in 2010, do you know what that money would be worth today in 2026? $2.6 million. Not $200,000. $2.6 million from a single $10,000 investment held for 16 years. Now here is why I am telling you that today of all days. Because the SpaceX IPO is happening right now. Literally this week. The company is set to begin trading on the Nasdaq tomorrow, June 12, 2026, under the ticker symbol SPCX, at an IPO price of $135 per share. And the question every investor in America is asking right now is whether SpaceX could be the next Tesla. Today I am going to break down exactly what you need to know about this IPO, exactly how to buy shares if you decide to, and the honest truth about what the Tesla comparison actually tells us and what it does not. Drop a comment right now and tell me, are you planning to invest in the SpaceX IPO? Yes, no, or still deciding? I check every comment on this channel. Welcome back to Rich Habits. Subscribe if you are new here because this is the most important financial story in America this week and you need to understand it properly. Let us start with the Tesla story because those numbers deserve to sink in before we talk about anything else. Tesla went public on June 29, 2010, at $17 per share. It was actually the first time an American car manufacturer had gone public since Ford's IPO all the way back in 1956. On its first day of trading, Tesla stock closed at $23.89, a 40% gain in a single day. People who got in on day one felt like geniuses. But here is where it gets extraordinary. Tesla went through 2 stock splits since then. A 5-for-1 split in 2020 and a 3-for-1 split in 2022. If you adjust for those splits, the effective IPO price was about $1.59 per share in today's terms. As of May 2026, Tesla's stock is trading around $417 per share. That means a $1.59 investment became $417. A gain of over 26,000%. A $1,000 investment at Tesla's IPO is worth approximately $237,000 today. A $10,000 investment is worth over $2.6 million. And the S&P 500, for comparison, returned roughly 480% over that same period. Tesla returned over 23,000%. That is the difference between a solid investment and a generational one. Now you might be thinking, that is incredible, but it was not easy. And you would be right. Tesla lost 73% of its value in 2022 alone. There were years where people who bought early were deep in losses and seriously considering selling. The people who became millionaires from Tesla were the ones who held through the crashes, the doubt, and the noise. Patience was the entire game. Keep that lesson in your pocket because we are going to come back to it when we talk about SpaceX. So what exactly is SpaceX and why is this IPO such a massive deal? SpaceX was founded by Elon Musk in 2002 with a mission that most people considered insane at the time, which was to make humanity a multi-planetary species by making space travel affordable and eventually taking humans to Mars. People laughed. Investors were skeptical. And then the company did something that no private company had ever done before. It built reusable rockets. Before SpaceX, rockets were essentially thrown away after each launch. One use, billions of dollars, gone. SpaceX figured out how to land them and fly them again. That single innovation collapsed the cost of getting to orbit and completely disrupted the entire space industry. Today SpaceX operates across 3 major business areas. The first is its launch business, which uses its Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets to carry satellites, cargo, and astronauts to orbit for both commercial customers and NASA. The second is Starlink, its satellite internet service that now has over 5 million subscribers globally and generated 61% of SpaceX's total revenue in 2025. The third is xAI, its artificial intelligence subsidiary, which just signed a $920 million per month cloud services deal with Google alone. SpaceX is targeting a valuation of $1.77 trillion in this IPO. That would make it not just the largest IPO in American history but the largest IPO in the history of the world, surpassing Saudi Aramco's $29.4 billion debut in 2019. The company is offering 555 million Class A shares at $135 per share, targeting approximately $75 billion in total proceeds. Those numbers are so large they're almost hard to picture. So here is a simpler way to think about it. At $1.77 trillion, SpaceX is being valued at roughly the same size as the entire economy of Canada. It is being priced as one of the most valuable entities on Earth before it has traded a single share publicly. Now here is the part that makes this IPO genuinely different from most public listings in recent history, and it is something that Elon Musk pushed for specifically. Normally when a major company goes public, retail investors, meaning ordinary people like you and me with standard brokerage accounts, get almost nothing. Typically only 5 to 10% of IPO shares are made available to retail investors. The rest goes to institutional investors, hedge funds, and large banks. Ordinary Americans watch from the sidelines while the big players get in at the ground floor. SpaceX is reportedly allocating up to 30% of its IPO shares to retail investors. That is at least 3 times the typical allocation. Elon Musk said publicly that he wanted ordinary Americans to have access to this opportunity and not just Wall Street insiders. Whether that philosophy entirely holds in practice remains to be seen, but the structural commitment is real and meaningful. So how do you actually buy SpaceX shares? There are 2 ways to do it and they work quite differently. The first way is through the IPO allocation process, which means requesting shares at the official IPO price of $135 before trading begins. SpaceX has confirmed that shares will be available through Robinhood, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab for retail investors. At Fidelity specifically, customers may be able to participate with as little as $2,000 in a retail brokerage account, which is lower than typical IPO requirements due to the increased retail share allocation. To do this through Schwab, you go to the IPO calendar on the Schwab website and submit what is called a conditional offer to purchase before 4 p.m. on the day the window closes. The critical thing to understand about this process is that even if you request shares, getting your full allocation is not guaranteed. The IPO is already reported to be well oversubscribed, meaning far more orders have come in than there are shares available. You might request 100 shares and receive 10. Or you might receive none at all. Getting the allocation is genuinely competitive. The second way is to simply buy shares on the open market after trading begins on June 12, the same way you would buy any stock. You open your Robinhood, Fidelity, Schwab, or any other brokerage app, search for the ticker SPCX, and buy at whatever price it is trading at when you decide to invest. The risk here is that IPO stocks frequently open significantly higher than their offering price on the first day of trading, so you may end up paying considerably more than $135 per share depending on how the market reacts to the debut. There is also a flipping rule worth knowing. Fidelity has confirmed that if you sell SpaceX shares within 15 days of the IPO, you may lose your ability to participate in future IPOs through their platform. So if you get an allocation and you are thinking about selling quickly for a fast profit, understand there is a cost to that strategy beyond just the trade itself. Now let us have the honest conversation about whether this is actually a good investment. The Tesla comparison is exciting. The numbers are genuinely extraordinary. But there are important differences between Tesla in 2010 and SpaceX in 2026 that every investor needs to understand before putting money in. Tesla went public at a valuation of approximately $1.7 billion. SpaceX is going public at $1.77 trillion. That is 1,000 times larger. Tesla had room to grow by factors of hundreds. SpaceX is starting at a valuation that already prices in decades of extraordinary growth. In practical terms, this means the potential returns from SpaceX at this valuation are nowhere near what Tesla delivered from its 2010 IPO price. Tesla was a small car company when it listed. SpaceX is already one of the most valuable companies on Earth. Short seller Jim Chanos publicly criticized the IPO this week, arguing that the valuation prices in a future that is far from guaranteed. One financial analyst from Motley Fool put it plainly: for most retail investors, the more prudent path may be to watch the first wave of IPO excitement settle before buying. A strong opening does not guarantee a smooth first year as a public company. That said, SpaceX's business is genuinely unlike anything else publicly traded. A company that launches rockets for NASA, runs a global internet service with 5 million subscribers, develops AI infrastructure, and is building a rocket to take humans to Mars is not a normal stock. The revenue from Starlink alone gives it a real, growing cash flow that most speculative space companies have never had. Here is how to think about all of this practically. If you are someone who wants to own a piece of SpaceX because you genuinely believe in the company's long-term mission and you are prepared to hold for 10 years or more through volatility and drawdowns the way Tesla investors had to, this IPO offers a real opportunity to get in at the starting line of a publicly traded company. If you are someone looking for a quick gain, the math of buying at a $1.77 trillion valuation makes that significantly harder to find than Tesla was in 2010. And if you are someone who misses the IPO or cannot get an allocation, the second best decision is almost always to wait, watch the first few months of trading, let the initial frenzy settle, and buy at a price that reflects the company's actual performance rather than the excitement of a launch day. The people who made fortunes on Tesla were not the ones who checked the stock every day. They were the ones who bought, held, and went on with their lives. If you invest in SpaceX, let that be your model. Now tell me in the comments, what amount are you thinking about investing in SpaceX, if any? And what is the one thing holding you back if you are not sure? I check every comment and I will reply to as many as I can. If this video gave you something real and timely today, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who is trying to figure out whether to buy SpaceX this week. Subscribe to Rich Habits so you never miss a video. I will see you in the next one.